We are sold messages constantly that promote discontentment. As soon as we get used to our new iPhone 15 Pro, the 16 goes on pre-order. There is not much in our world today that is promoting contentment with what we have, or gratefulness for all the things we can afford to buy.
From Living Word Church, you're listening to the Living the Word podcast, encouraging you to walk steadfastly in your Christian faith.
A U.S. Army employee has been indicted for allegedly stealing over $100 million in Army money. It's almost too ridiculous of a number to believe that this could be true. The news report from several major news outlets say that 57-year-old Janet Mello, who worked as a financial program manager at Fort Sam Houston, faces 10 counts related to a fraud scheme. How did someone steal over $100 million from the U.S. Army? Well, apparently in 2016, Janet created a fake nonprofit called the Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development Program. She claimed in paperwork that this organization provided services to military members and their families. She submitted fraudulent paperwork claiming that the nonprofit was eligible for grant money. She would funnel money into accounts that were connected to this non-existent organization and then deposit the money directly into her checking account. The indictment claims that Janet deposited into her account over 40 times during a 6-year period to the tune of $103 million. Over $100 million. If you do the math, it would be somewhere approximately $2.5 million per deposit. Janet bought, with that money, stolen money, over 30 real estate properties, went on trips around the world, spent millions on vintage cars and motorcycles, clothes and jewelry. And she somehow got away with all of this for 6 years. Janet Mello could face up to 30 years in prison if convicted. This story certainly is a movie script waiting to happen. Government employee who defrauds a government agency out of millions and millions of dollars, lives a luxurious life for multiple years, and then is caught by the IRS. Who should be the leading actress? Well, I'm not sure about movies or Hollywood, or if this real-life story will ever be depicted on the big screen or on Netflix. But I am sure that values and priorities praised in today's TV shows and movies help celebrate the greed and lust that this woman was motivated by. What causes someone to do something like this? Well, greed would be at the top of the list of reasons. There's no doubt about that. The fact that we are all sinful by nature and want things that don't belong to us is what drives people like Janice to defraud a government agency and to live a lie for so many years. When we consider how materialistic our society is and how much we esteem those who are rich and famous, is it any wonder that things like this happen? We live in a culture that never has enough. We are sold messages constantly that promote discontentment. As soon as we get used to our new iPhone 15 Pro, the 16 goes on pre-order. There is not much in our world today that is promoting contentment with what we have, or gratefulness for all the things we can afford to buy. Janet Mello apparently had a job that paid her $129,000 per year. While I know the cost of living varies from state to state and inflation is making it challenging to make ends meet, but consider that the average salary where Janet was orchestrating her fraud was $68,000 per year in 2023. She was almost earning double what the average income was in her community. While it is true that the vast majority of people in our country would never concoct such a scheme as Janet Mello did, much less attempt to pull it off, it is true, however, that everyone living in our materialistic culture has to fight against the desires to have what we cannot afford and in turn to be content with what we have. Let us not forget what God's word tells us in Hebrews 13:5. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For he said, I will never leave you nor forsake you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to submit a potential question, a topic, or an idea for a future episode, or learn more about the Living the Word podcast, you can visit us at livingwordhoma.com. We would like to say thanks to all of you who subscribed, shared episodes, and left reviews. Living the Word podcast is a production of Living Word Church in Houma, Louisiana, under the leadership of Pastor Ben Buffkin. Our prayer is that you will remain faithful to living the Word.